It was one of those cold mornings where the air feels heavier than usual, like the world itself is tired. The kind of morning where people walk a little faster, avoid eye contact, and carry invisible burdens no one else can see. On a quiet street in a small American town, a man stood outside a coffee shop, counting the coins in his hand for the third time. His fingers trembled not just from the cold, but from something deeper. Hunger. Exhaustion. Maybe even a fading sense of hope. Inside that same coffee shop, a woman named Emily was about to make a decision so small, she wouldn't even remember it by the end of the day. But that moment? It would change everything. Before we dive into the story, take a second to support the channel. If stories like this touch your heart, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. Your support helps keep these meaningful stories alive. Emily was like many people, busy, focused, and always running a little behind. She worked a steady office job, lived in a modest apartment, and followed the same routine every morning. Wake up. Rush out. Grab coffee. Repeat. That morning, she stepped into her favorite coffee shop, shaking the cold from her coat. The smell of fresh coffee wrapped around her like a warm hug. She ordered her usual a medium latte with oat milk and waited near the counter, scrolling through her phone. That's when she noticed him. He stood just outside the glass window, hesitant. His jacket was worn thin, his shoes scuffed, and his face carried the kind of weariness you don't get from just one bad day. He wasn't asking for money. He wasn't bothering anyone. He was just there. Watching. Emily looked away at first. It was easier that way. But something about him stayed with her. Maybe it was the way he kept glancing at the coffee menu, like he was trying to memorize something he couldn't afford. Or maybe it was the quiet dignity in the way he stood, like he didn't want to be a burden. When her name was called, Emily walked to the counter, picked up her coffee, and paused. For a moment, she hesitated. Then she turned back. Actually, she said to the barista, "Can I get one more coffee? And maybe a breakfast sandwich?" The barista smiled. "Sure thing. For here or to go?" Emily glanced toward the window again. To go. Outside, the cold hit her again, but this time she barely noticed it. She walked up to the man slowly, not wanting to startle him. "Hey," she said gently. He looked up, surprised. "I got you something," she added, holding out the bag and coffee. For a second, he didn't move. Like he wasn't sure if this was real. "Are you sure?" he asked quietly. "Yeah," Emily said with a small smile. "I am." He took the bag carefully, like it might disappear if he wasn't gentle enough. His eyes softened, and for the first time, a faint smile appeared. "Thank you," he said. "You have no idea how much this means." Emily nodded, suddenly feeling a little shy. "Take care," she said, before turning and walking away. And just like that, it was over. A small act. A simple moment. Or so she thought. The man's name was Daniel. Just a year earlier, he had a steady job in construction, a small apartment, and plans for the future. But life has a way of unraveling things when you least expect it. An injury at work. Medical bills piling up. Lost income. One setback turned into another, until everything slipped through his fingers. Daniel wasn't lazy. He wasn't careless. He was just unlucky. That morning, he hadn't eaten in 2 days. Pride kept him from asking for help, but hunger has a way of wearing down even the strongest walls. When Emily handed him that coffee and sandwich, it wasn't just food. It was relief. It was dignity. It was a reminder that he hadn't been completely forgotten. He sat on a nearby bench, holding the warm cup in his hands. The steam rose into the cold air, and for the first time in a long while, he felt something shift inside him. Hope. Days passed. Then weeks. Emily forgot about that moment entirely. Life moved on, just like it always does. Deadlines. Bills. Conversations. Routine. But for Daniel, that moment stayed. It stayed in the way he carried himself. In the way he started believing that maybe, just maybe, things could get better. He began visiting a local shelter, something he had avoided before. That single act of kindness had softened something inside him. It made it easier to accept help. From there, things slowly began to change. He got access to meals. Then clean clothes. Then, with the help of a community program, he found temporary work. It wasn't easy. Nothing about it was easy. But every time things felt too heavy, he remembered that morning. A stranger. A coffee. A moment of kindness. And somehow, that was enough to keep going. 6 months later, the same coffee shop buzzed with its usual morning crowd. Emily stood in line again, just like any other day. Same order. Same routine. Same life. Except this time, something was different. Next, the barista called. Emily stepped forward, but before she could speak, someone behind the counter smiled at her. Medium latte with oat milk, right? She blinked. The voice felt familiar, but she couldn't place it. Yes, that's right, she said slowly. The man behind the counter handed her the coffee. Clean uniform. Neatly combed hair. A quiet confidence in his posture. Then it clicked. Her eyes widened slightly. Wait, do I know you? She asked. He smiled. About 6 months ago, he said, you bought a coffee and a sandwich for a guy standing outside this shop. Emily's hand froze around the cup. You remember that? She asked. I'll never forget it, he replied. It was Daniel. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Emily looked at him, taking in the difference. He looked healthier. Stronger. Like someone who had found his footing again. You work here now? She asked. Yeah, Daniel said. Started a couple months ago. It's not much, but it's a fresh start. Emily smiled, a warmth spreading through her chest. That's amazing, she said. Daniel nodded. You know, he added, that day. I was at my lowest. I didn't think things would ever get better. He paused, then continued. But what you did, it wasn't just about the food. It made me feel seen. Like I still mattered. Emily swallowed, her eyes softening. I didn't think it was that big of a deal, she said quietly. Daniel smiled. That's the thing about kindness, he said. The person giving it might see it as small, but for someone else, it can mean everything. Before Emily left, Daniel stopped her. Hey, he said, reaching under the counter. He handed her a small note. What's this? She asked. Just something I wanted to give you. She unfolded it. Inside, it read. Because of you, I kept going. Because of you, I believed again. Thank you for reminding me that kindness still exists. Emily looked up, her eyes glistening. You didn't have to do this, she said. I know, Daniel replied. But I wanted to. As Emily walked out of the coffee shop that day, the world felt a little different. Not because something big had happened. But because something small had come full circle. A simple act of kindness had traveled through someone's life, and come back in a way she never expected. Kindness doesn't always come with a loud impact. It doesn't always make headlines. Sometimes, it looks like a cup of coffee. A smile. A moment of compassion. And often, we never get to see where it leads. But that doesn't mean it doesn't matter. Because somewhere, in ways we may never fully understand, those small moments are changing lives. So the next time you see someone struggling, the next time you have a chance to help, remember this. What feels small to you might be everything to someone else. And sometimes, the kindness you give doesn't just disappear into the world. It finds its way back. If this story touched your heart, carry it with you. Share a smile. Offer a hand. Be the reason someone feels seen today. Because kindness is powerful. And the world needs more of it now more than ever.